friends, and welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to do what I think will be a pretty short video, and it is in answer to a couple of requests I've gotten, and that is how I use tarot in these rather uncertain, anxious times to help me deal with my feelings. And there are a lot of different ways I do that, and I go to different strategies for different times. I'll share a link below to a video I did on my therapeutic tarot series like a good 2 or 3 years ago now, all about self-care, and I assign a different self-care tool or strategy or activity or exercise to every card in the tarot deck. And I have an example of my self-care ideas in that video, and so that can be quite a good one. But in this video I wanted to share with you something that I did not come up with. In fact, it comes from Carrie Mallon, who created the Spacious Tarot, which is kind of my favorite deck at the moment. And she did a challenge or like a tag on Instagram several years ago now called Gratitarot, and it's something that I partook in and I absolutely loved, and it's something that I've kind of kept in my little toolkit ever since then. And I've found myself taking that out of the toolbox a lot lately, and it's really been helping me. So with complete credit all to Carrie Mallon, I'll leave links to her website and her YouTube channel and everything below. I wanted to share with you this really simple little thing that I'm doing pretty much every day that's really helping me. So Gratitarot stands for Gratitude Tarot, and this is just a really little gratitude exercise that you can do with your tarot deck. And for me, I'm doing it every day, and it's really helping. So we all know, we've all heard about the benefits and the amazing power of active gratitude. And when I say that, I don't mean just like randomly kind of feeling grateful for stuff, but like that active practice of thinking about things that you can be grateful for, noting them down, putting them into words, all of that, that really active practice. And the important part about this too, I think, is thinking about very specific things rather than general ones. And I get it that can be really hard to do, and certainly I think when anxiety is starting to take over, it makes it even harder. And so that's why this practice, it's so simple, but it's been wonderful for me. Basically, the idea here is that we shuffle our tarot deck, we pull a card, and we use that as kind of like a jumping off point or a prompt to come up with something that we are grateful for today. And again, we want it to be specific. And I think certainly some decks are easier to do this with than others. For me, I would think that, you know, quite illustrative decks would be better. So perhaps not so much Marseille. But that's because I love to go off the imagery specifically. But if you're happy to kind of use more of the meaning of the card, then you can use whatever deck that you like. But I just wanted to point that out, that it doesn't have to be, if you draw the 5 of Swords, you don't have to think of something specifically that the meaning of the 5 of Swords tells you to be grateful for. For me, I use this as kind of like that instant, what that card makes me think of in my life. More the imagery I tend to use, but you don't have to. Sometimes it can be a mix of both. Whatever you need to do to get there, to find that thing to be grateful for. And seeing as it was Carrie who came up with this wonderful idea, I'm going to use the Spacious Tarot. And oh my god, I'm matching so much blue. So I have done this exercise today already. I drew the Moon card from the Textured Tarot, and immediately the first thing I thought of was dog videos on the internet. Obviously there's 2 dogs in this card, and while I miss my dogs terribly, my dogs, they're my mum's dogs, but they're my dogs, Henry and Heidi, the poodles that you guys have met before in my videos, I miss them terribly because obviously we're staying home and staying away from mum and dad's house. I have enjoyed some wonderful dog videos online lately, and one of them was of a dog that kind of looked quite a bit like one of these dogs in this card, and so that's what it reminded me of. I don't know about you, but dog videos make everything better, and my partner isn't a big dog person, but whenever I'm not feeling particularly great, I know that he intentionally sends me dog videos because he knows how much I love dog videos. So drawing this card, I am focusing today on being really grateful for not only the fact that dog videos exist, because hallelujah, like we're lucky to exist in a time where we have access to dog videos so easily and to so many of them. It's a wonderful time. But also to the fact that the people who know me and love me send me those videos on purpose to cheer me up. And just thinking about that makes me really happy in that kind of way that almost makes you want to tear up, which is really special. So for me, the Spacious Tarot is not the deck that I would normally pick necessarily to use for this practice, I think normally I would pick something like the Textured Tarot, or the Sasarai Beto is a great one, or the Next World, because there's quite a lot going on in those cards, in the imagery. There's a lot of opportunity to kind of pick out different elements to inspire different ideas for what you can be grateful for. Whereas the Spacious Tarot is a little bit more minimalistic, but I still wanted to kind of stretch our muscle and give it a go. Okay, so I drew the High Priestess, which is a beautiful card in this deck, and I'm gonna go off on a really, I don't know if anybody else will follow me on this train of logic. So the first thing I thought of was the sound that you hear when wind blows through a beautiful shell like this. And today it's quite windy actually, which has been annoying me because it's been making quite a bit of sound while I'm trying to film. How rude. But this card has made me, I don't know, want to reframe that a little bit, of how refreshing and freeing a beautiful breeze and a bit of wind can be. So what this card makes me want to do right now is go stand out on my balcony and enjoy that breeze, because we're not getting a lot of time outside at the moment. We're not really getting a lot of time, you know, down at the beach or down by the park or down by the river or whatever. Like making an effort to go out, but we're certainly limited quite a lot to the house at the moment. And I'm really lucky to have a balcony and that such beautiful weather and breeze is out there today. So instead of being annoyed about the sound that the wind is making today, I'm going to be grateful for it, and I'm going to be intentional about experiencing it too. So that's an example of how I do this exercise, and clearly I do not use or don't very often use the actual like meaning of what the High Priestess in a tarot card means. I just kind of, I don't know, a process of, what do you call that? Like the association is kind of more how I do it. Like what this card makes me think of and how I can connect that to an experience or something in my life that I can be grateful for. And sometimes you got to be a bit creative with this, especially if you draw a card that perhaps challenges you a little bit. But I promise there is potential for gratitude in every single one of these cards, just as there is potential for gratitude in pretty much every day. And so yes, of course, this active process of gratitude and using our cards to do this is not going to solve the world's problems. It's not going to even solve our individual problems. But I think it's pretty well documented that an active practice of gratitude and done regularly can just be really good for our mental well-being and of helping us cope a little bit better with anxieties and stress. And like I said, this sounds really, really simple, but I promise it's one of those things that once you actually do it, it feels a lot more significant than you might just like think. You're like, oh yeah, that's a simple thing to do, whatever. But if you actually do it and do it like, I think originally we did it for a month on Instagram, it's a really good practice to get into. It's one of those things that's kind of like bigger than the sum of its parts, right? It kind of gains momentum and it feels a lot more meaningful and significant than it sounds like it should at first, especially if you kind of do it on a semi-regular basis. So if you've gotten to the end of this video, I would love for you to pick up your tarot deck, shuffle it, pull out a card, and leave a comment below of something that card has helped you take notice of that you can be grateful for today, no matter how small. In fact, I think the smaller it is, kind of the easier it is to be specific about it, which I think is more helpful a lot of the time. So leave a comment below with something you're grateful for. And again, thank you so much to Carrie for sharing this little exercise, however many years ago it was now. It's something that really stuck with me. When I first read about it, I was like, oh yeah, that seems so simple, so little, almost silly. Like, you know, what's the point in doing something so small? But I did it, and I continue to return to it years later, because I think sometimes it's the little things that can make a big difference for us. And for me, when my mind is kind of getting out of hand with that catastrophic thinking and whatever else it does, a simple, really small little thing like this I can do every day or whenever works. It's just really, really helpful. And of course, I have to say a thank you to my patrons over on Patreon for your support. I really appreciate it. And especially to Tracy Timmerman, Laurie, Lynette Brown, The Hales K, and Biffy Rose. Thank you all so, so much. I really appreciate you. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you again soon. So much love. Bye.